Johnson. Patrick, all
Awesome.
yours.
Thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate the introduction. Before I get too far, I just want to thank Dan and Shannon on their last presentation. I, in a past life, was actually in the biostatistics group at Memorial Sloan Kettering. So I can really share that I could have used many of these functions back in those days, as I spent a lot of my time formatting tables and editing them and going through those steps. So great work to both of you on the work you've done there. So today, again, I'm Patrick Hilden. I'm an associate director over in the market access analytics group at Janssen, which is part of the broader Johnson & Johnson. And I'm going to share today a little bit about how our group has worked to leverage RMarkdown to enhance the quality control and documentation that we have for the projects that we're working on. So our group does a lot of work supporting other internal teams in addressing particular questions of interest on products that are already on the market. So we are big real world evidence users of large medical claims databases and try to leverage those to address some questions that our business partners have. So today I'll share a little bit around our utilization of RMarkdown to streamline some of those processes and the work that we do there. So a little bit of background, right? So data review and quality control for any data set that's new to you can be a bit of a tedious process, right? And can also be complex, particularly if you're unfamiliar with the data or it has a lot of records or fields, right? So we all have probably gone through the pain of working through a data set for the first time. And this pain becomes even greater when we start talking about medical claims data, right? This can be billions of records in an individual data set. So the most recent, I think, IBM Truven data set, right, their outpatient services table has over 12 billion records. So how do we approach doing quality control for new projects when we're utilizing data that's that robust and large, right? We're leveraging huge numbers, which we can use to get good insights, but also makes that quality control process that more difficult. Now, on top of the difficulty of just going through and doing that QC process for big data, there's also the consideration we need to have about, how do we handle regular updates to those data sets? It's very common in those large claims databases that you maybe have access to. You're getting quarterly or monthly refreshes in that data. And we need to make sure we're standardizing some sort of approach to doing quality control after that data has been refreshed, right? It's very common that we might have a project from a therapeutic area or partner. We address that question that they had using claims data. And then, 6 months down the road, they come back to us and say, yeah, it was great, the analysis you did. We really want to see it now again with this new kind of more longitudinal claims data. So how can we build a robust process around ensuring that when it becomes time to refresh an analysis or we get refreshed data, that we can quickly turn that around and make sure we're getting the results to our business partners as quickly as possible. And finally, as it comes to no surprise on this call, right, our Markdown have become such common tools for data analytics and report writing. Really, we can combine the data pulling, the visualization, the analysis, the quality control in one large pipeline, right? All under the umbrella of R&R Markdown, which makes it very reproducible and very easy to kind of translate from one individual to another. And historically, a lot of these processes have been done separately. So we're bringing those under one umbrella. We're really going to expedite the way that we can crank out our results. Now, what is like the simple approach that has often been taken to kind of addressing these analysis problems, right? So first, an analytics request comes in from some business partner, right? They'd like us to dig into one of these large claims databases and better understand how many patients are receiving a certain drug or possibly have some sort of diagnosis or procedure in any time period of interest. Then we might go in and extract the data, right? Pull it out using SQL. And after that, we might go to doing a robust quality control and review of the data, really trying to deeply understand what's going on in the data and get our hands around it. We may use SQL or Excel to summarize those results or other processes. And then finally, cranking out the results for our business partners, right? We might produce some sort of document in Word or Excel that summarizes the main question that they were interested in and really highlights the key results that we have. So there's a lot of benefits around this process, right? It's rigorous. We're getting into the data. We're able to provide very quick insights to address the key stakeholder questions that we have and get those answers into downstream processes so they can make decisions around them. But some of the downsides, right, is that the data extraction, quality control, results generation, these are all kind of held under separate umbrellas, right? And potentially done by separate individuals. So what we would love to do, of course, is to kind of bring that under one platform. And the other thing I think is a big consideration in this process is that we don't spend any time thinking about what sort of questions do we need to be asking for the data when it gets refreshed, right? Assuming our investigators want to know more, want to see this analysis done again, what sort of data points do we need to be investigating and paying a special attention to in that refreshed data to make sure we can get those results out as quickly as possible? So as opposed to that kind of simple approach, like our approach is much more holistic. And unfortunately, I don't know that you can see a couple of the images here, but I'll walk you through it, right? So in our holistic approach that we're suggesting, right, is that we use RMarkdown to integrate all of these steps that have historically been done in using separate programs or in separate ways, right? So going back to the previous slide, there's the original pulling of the data, the initial quality control and review, the analysis, the update. Let's put that all under the umbrella of RMarkdown, right? We can streamline this process, make it very reproducible, combine things like the code that's used to generate the output with textual descriptions for our business partners so they can understand what's going on. So we can always go back and refer to these reports and see exactly what was done, what data was pulled, when it was pulled, and what were the results that we kind of took away from that process. Now, the one aspect that I also add on this beyond putting it all under one platform is let's spend some very intentional time during those first round of quality control for a new project to really think about what sort of data points or potential issues we might be running into as we try to refresh this analysis in the future, right? Too often we just rush to get the analysis done, review the data, get it in the hands of our collaborators so they can get those results, and then move on to the next project, right? We have many things in the pipeline that we have to be doing. So we're just moving to the next one. And really what we're kind of advocating for in our group is the first time through that data QC process, spend some time developing specific reports that are going to be used to QC the data when it gets refreshed. So instead of when a business partner asks for a refresh analysis, we have to go back, start from the very beginning, do everything again. We've already baked in key reports that we know are going to address the main data points of interest that we want to be paying attention to, whether it's specific tables or specific outcomes. We've generated multiple reports that we can quickly run when the data gets refreshed to look at those key data points and ensure that, yes, we still believe the data to be valid and reliable for this question that we're interested in. We feel very comfortable moving this forward to the analysis point and getting the results to our business partners. And I think spending this time, right, in this period really marries that deep understanding of the data that we have in the early stages when you're first faced with a project, really wanting to dig in and understand the data and really get to the nitty gritty with considerations for, what do we need to be thinking about for the future, right? We think it's very likely we're going to be asked to do this sort of work again or refresh this analysis. So what sort of reporting can we put in place now to ensure that when that time comes, we can quickly get those results out and aren't wasting time going through these steps that maybe we had to do earlier on. So the goal is, right, significantly reducing that turnaround time from when the data gets refreshed to when we get those downstream processes and results in the hands of our business partners. Now, this approach, right, and the take-home message is really, I think, worth taking and taking with you, right? Too often we focus on what's in front of us right at the moment, right? What we need to do for the purposes of getting these results done and in the hands of our partners and moving on to the next thing, right? And not until we're faced with that problem of needing to refresh the analysis do we start thinking, oh, well, I wish I would have done some work earlier on to make sure I set myself up for success later on there in the future. So we really are advocating, right, for incorporating that QC reporting and development throughout the project life cycle, right? Not only thinking about it in the very beginning, but also considering what sort of questions would I want to be asking in the future, because right now is the time that I have the best understanding of the data and want to be sure that I really know what I want to look to moving forward. And finally, right, RMarkdown offers the perfect platform for kind of integrating these development steps. So no longer are we doing things in SQL and Excel and Word. We've put that all in RMarkdown to make it clear and reproducible, as well as allow us to communicate the results in a meaningful and straightforward way to our business partners. So with that, I will thank you all for the time today. It's been a pleasure.